The Wabash River has been a key part of trade, travel, and settlement in the Midwest for over 200 years. The Wabash River is home to numerous endangered species, diverse plants, and wildlife. According to Kevin Kilbane, part of the Environmental Change Initiative, phosphorus and nitrogen runoff from far fields and overflow from septic systems all contribute to the Wabash being classified as an impaired waterway under the Federal Clean Water Act. Most of the river is also listed as impaired for excessive amounts of E. coli bacteria, which can come from humans or animal feces. The soil around the Wabash is ideal for farming, but it also plays a key role in the pollution of the river. As the quality of the Wabash decreases, so does the quality of the plants and animals that live in this ecosystem. Every time the Wabash floods, it not only increases the pollution of the river, but it is also detrimental to the farming of the crops along the river's edge. As I mentioned earlier, the farming of crops around the Wabash River plays a key role in the pollution of it. The land around the Wabash is low, and when it rains a lot, it floods over into the fields of crops around it. These fields contain many pollutants like manure, fertilizers, and pesticides. The pollutants then get into the Wabash River every time it floods, causing the nitrogen and phosphorus levels of the river to increase. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, increased levels of nitrogen and phosphorus from fertilizers and manure can stimulate algal blooms in lakes and rivers, which can lead to the development of hypoxic, which is low oxygen conditions that are harmful to aquatic life. The Wabash River connects to the Mississippi River, which goes all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. Even though the Wabash is very far from the Gulf of Mexico, it has contributed greatly to the hypoxic zones in the Gulf, affecting the fish and wildlife living there. According to the Purdue Exponent, another contribution of the pollution of the Wabash River is sewage from the cities around it getting into the river. I believe it has an impact on the river because there is evidence of E. coli bacteria found in the river, which derives from the waste of humans and animals. Another reason there could be E. coli found in the river is due to manure, which is used to fertilize crops that surround the Wabash. The pollution of the Wabash not only affects the environment, but also affects the populations that live around the Wabash. The Wabash River has been closed for swimming due to levels of E. coli bacteria found. If people swim in the river with the E. coli bacteria, they could get diarrhea, fever, abdominal cramps, nausea, and vomiting, or even more severe health conditions. Preventing the crop's pollutants from getting into the Wabash is difficult because it can overflow due to high amounts of rain. One way to solve this issue is to prevent the water from even reaching the crops. If we plant more trees around the Wabash River, then the trees can serve as a barrier between the high water levels and the crops. Trees serve as an umbrella to prevent the rain from flooding the ground as quickly and prevent agricultural runoff from entering the river. The trees serve as a barrier, not allowing the eroded soil from the crops getting into the river. If we were to plant trees around the Wabash River, the farmers would have to give up some of their cropland. In the long run, it would benefit the farmers because the fields won't flood, and it would benefit the Wabash River from being contaminated. Another thing that would help would be for farmers to not overuse their fertilizers, prevent their livestock from using waterways, plant crops year-round, and conserve the number of times their fields are tilled, which is when they loosen the soil up. Something we can do as students is spread awareness on the pollution of the Wabash, and even convince the farmers that it would benefit both them and the river if they were to plant more trees around the Wabash. Another thing students can do is to volunteer to clean up the Wabash River. Although there's a lot more science behind getting the chemicals out of the river, we can still clean up the trash that is contaminating it. There's a biannual event in the fall and spring every year in Lafayette called De-Trash the Wabash, where people can remove trash and debris along the river to help improve the water quality. You can find links online to register for this event. To conclude, the Wabash River has an influence on the animals and plants that live around and in it. The contamination of the river has an impact on the local and national environment, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done to stop the contamination of this great river.